The floods that devastated parts of Queensland and New South Wales are likely to be the costliest in Australian history. They've created numerous problems, among them the inevitable rising cost of insurance premiums in flood-prone areas.
Almost 120,000 insurance claims have been lodged by people in flood-affected parts of Australia's east coast in 2 weeks. New data from the Insurance Council of Australia has revealed more than 95,000 of those claims are for property. The data shows the estimated cost for private claims totals more than $1.5 billion so far and is rising. Prime Minister Scott Morrison is advising insurance companies to pay up.
Those who've been able to have that flood insurance expect to be supported. That's why you take it out. If there are issues there, I have no doubt that those matters will be raised.
But as the impacts of climate change becomes more frequent and more widespread, it's likely the cost of insurance premiums will also increase.
And I think certainly when it comes to insurance companies and premiums potentially increasing and some properties undergoing a risk reclassification, you can see a big jump up in premiums.
A recent report by the Insurance Council of Australia highlighted Lismore as one of 9 locations in need of urgent flood mitigation infrastructure. While the Prime Minister acknowledges the importance of lowering greenhouse gas emissions, he also puts it to the local communities to ensure they are rebuilt to mitigate future flooding.
Whether it's up in the northern rivers and the resilience works that frankly haven't been done for a long time, and there's been a lot of resistance to some of those works. We've got to get that done, because if you do that, then the insurance companies will be in a better position to be able to insure.
Insurance is already unaffordable for many Australians, particularly in cyclone-prone northern Australia, and it could soon be a similar story for areas of southeastern Australia, especially places close to tidal rivers. There are calls for the $10 billion reinsurance pool for cyclone damage in northern Australia, which is the subject of a Senate inquiry, to expand to cover more disasters like flooding in other parts of the country. Georgia Simpson, Sky News.
The clean-up is well and truly underway after the East Coast floods, of course, but Sky News Chief Meteorologist Tom Saunders warns heavy rain and flooding is forecast through autumn.
Floods have devastated much of eastern Australia during the past 2 weeks, and so far this year, sections of southeast Queensland and the New South Wales coast have already seen 1,200 millimetres of rain, getting very close to the annual average. For Sydney, so far this year, 872.4 millimetres of rain. The average by the end of March, 354. It's been the wettest start to a year on record. Data back to the 1850s. Brisbane's been even wetter, more than 1,000 millimetres of rain in 2022, more than 600 millimetres above the long-term average to the end of March. Wettest start to a year in 48 years. What is behind this record rain? It's a La Nina phase of the Pacific Ocean, and La Nina started to weaken through January and February, but there are signs over the last couple of weeks La Nina is re-strengthening. This map shows the sea surface temperatures compared to average. This darker blue through the equatorial Pacific shows where they're up to 2 degrees below average. Off the north coast of Australia, those temperatures are warmer than normal. This changes weather patterns throughout the globe, including a strengthening of easterly trade winds from the Pacific towards Australia. That pumps in tropical moisture, and that's why there's a heightened risk of flooding continuing for the next couple of months. This map shows the chance of above medium rain for April. It's likely to be wetter than normal through tropical Queensland and also the New South Wales coast and ranges. When you consider that our dams are full and our catchments are saturated, there's therefore a high chance of further major flooding during the next 7 weeks.